All right, let's just jump right in. We're going to talk about that feeling, that nagging sense that our attention isn't really our own anymore. You know, it feels like we're in this constant battle with our phones, with our notifications, this never-ending digital deluge. And today, we're going to unpack exactly why that is. I mean, you know this feeling, right? You sit down to do one thing, just one thing, and like 5 minutes later, you're scrolling through some feed and you don't even know how you got there. You grab your phone to check the weather, and suddenly you're lost in a rabbit hole of alerts. If you feel like your focus is just completely shattered these days, well, you're not alone. And more importantly, you're definitely not imagining it. And this is the real kicker. That feeling of losing control, it is not a personal failure. It's not you being weak or lacking discipline. As we're about to see, the entire digital world we live in has been carefully, brilliantly engineered to produce this exact result. Your distraction, well, it's somebody else's business model. So let's start by just looking at the state we all live in now. This feeling of being constantly on, always available, and just endlessly interrupted by this digital buzz that, well, it never seems to stop. You know, the really interesting thing here is the trade-off that we don't really talk about. Our phones are amazing, right? They make everything faster, easier, but all this constant connectivity has this subtle kind of corrosive effect. It's replacing all those tiny in-person social interactions that build a community. Instead of asking a stranger for directions, you just look at your map. Instead of chatting with the person next to you at the coffee shop, you just scroll. And bit by bit, it can leave us feeling less connected to the actual people right there in front of us. So that constant buzz we were just talking about, it isn't random noise. Oh no. It is the sound of a massive global economic system. And believe me, it is working exactly as designed. Let's pull back the curtain on what's called the attention economy. Okay, this right here is the absolute core concept we have to get our heads around. In most of the digital world, you are not the customer. Advertisers are the customers. So, what are they buying? They're buying you. They're buying your attention. The product being sold is literally your time, your focus, your eyeball minutes. The whole goal of these platforms is to capture as much of your attention as they possibly can and then sell it off to the highest bidder. You know, what's incredible is that this economist, Herbert Simon, he saw this coming way back in the 1970s. This quote just nails our current reality. We don't have a scarcity of information anymore, right? It's everywhere, it's infinite. The real scarce resource, the truly valuable thing, is our limited ability to pay attention to any of it. So the more information that's out there, the fiercer the competition gets to capture those few precious moments of our focus. This is a metaphor from the writer Cal Newport, and it is perfect. Think about it. On one side of this arms race, there's you, with your one brain and your limited supply of willpower. And on the other side, well, you've got some of the richest companies in human history, employing thousands of the world's smartest engineers and psychologists whose entire job is to design products that are as addictive as humanly possible. Yeah, it's not exactly a fair fight. And if you want to see just how lopsided this is, just look at the money. I mean, look at this chart. The business of mining our attention has become way more profitable than mining for oil. The combined value of companies like Google and Facebook, whose entire business model is built on this, it just completely dwarfs these old-school industrial giants. It's staggering. Okay, so we get the economic system. Now let's get personal. Let's look at what this system is actually doing to our brains. Every single time we hear that little ding. This is the psychological state that the attention economy is designed to create. It's that feeling you get when the sheer volume of stuff coming at you, emails, texts, news alerts, everything, just completely overwhelms your brain's ability to deal with it. It leads to that feeling of being burdened, frazzled, and anxious. It's a direct result of trying to live in an environment that is constantly screaming for more of you than you can possibly give. And here's exactly how they hook you. This is the reinforcement loop that's at the heart of pretty much every addictive app. It's engineered to work just like a slot machine. The trigger, that little ding or that red dot, creates an itch you have to scratch. The action, compulsively checking your phone, that's you pulling the lever. And the reward, well, it's unpredictable. It's a like, a comment, maybe a new message. It's a little hit of dopamine that rewires your brain to want to pull that lever again and again and again. This is such a critical distinction from MIT professor Sherry Turkle. Our brains evolved for what she calls conversation. Face-to-face, nuanced, rich interactions. But the attention economy pushes us towards connection. These quick, shallow, text-based hits. We're essentially trading the satisfying, nutritious meal of real conversation for these little sips of online connection, which honestly are like junk food. They give you a quick rush, but they ultimately leave you feeling unsatisfied and wanting more. So, given this totally unfair fight, how are we supposed to win? You know, the common advice is always the same. Just try harder, have more willpower. But what if that is exactly the wrong advice? Okay, this is where it gets really, really mind-blowing. We've all been sold this idea that success in this distracted world is about having the mental toughness to resist temptation. But a huge body of research is now telling us that the most focused, most self-controlled people, they're doing something completely different. Let's break this down because it's a huge idea. Psychologists talk about two kinds of self-control. State self-control is what we all think of as willpower. It's that active, in-the-moment struggle, right? Gritting your teeth to not check your phone. Trait self-control is different. It's about your habits, your systems. It's about strategically setting up your environment so you don't even have to fight that battle in the first place. And boom, there it is. That quote is a complete game changer. Let me just translate that academic speak for you. What it means is that the people who are best at self-control, they aren't better at fighting temptation. They're just better at avoiding it altogether. They don't have some superhuman willpower. They just structure their lives so they don't have to use it as often. So if white-knuckling it with willpower isn't the solution, then what is? We have to shift to a whole new philosophy, one that isn't built on resistance, but on pure, simple intention. This brings us to a concept called digital minimalism, and it's all about flipping the script. Instead of just passively letting every new app or service into your life, a digital minimalist starts with their deep values. You know, things like family, community, creativity, health. And then they ask a very simple question. Is this the best way for technology to serve this thing I care about? And this is how you actually do it. It's a simple 3-step filter you can apply to any tool. First, does this thing actually serve a deep value? Keeping up with stuff is not a value. Being an informed citizen is. Second, is this the best way to do it? Maybe a well-curated weekly news podcast is way better than a chaotic, anxiety-inducing social media feed. And third, does it have rules? A constrained rule, like I only check this once a day on my laptop, not on my phone where it can buzz me anytime it wants. See? This is the fundamental shift. It's everything. You don't start with the shiny new app and try to figure out how to cram it into your life. You start with what is truly important to you. And then, only then, you ask if a piece of technology can help. And if it can't, you just happily let it go. And really, that's the question this all boils down to. It's a simple question to ask, but in a world built on the attention economy, the answer is more complicated and way more important than it's ever been. So take a hard look at your own digital life and ask yourself, who is actually in charge here?